Hey everyone, I'm NornQueenAlexis, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the Emperor's Tarot podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. I have Dave from MiniWarGaming.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing well. I hope you are doing well as well. As
I
well,
am.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
I'm gonna say
Thank,
well a lot.
well. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, and joining me as always is my good friend and moderator, Captain Jono. Although he needs a proper introduction, Dave, I think you would appreciate this proper orky introduction.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, John.
All right, hold on. I was not prepared for this. All right. Hello, everyone. I am the legendary Mega Prime Orc Captain Jonas, Stuff Stealer, Ship Crush, Head Crasher, Manhunter, Chrome Smasher, Loot Master, Prince Smasher, Dagger Slasher, Crop Beater, Git Slapper, Neck Ringer, Super Crazy, Never Lazy, Saint Killer, God Splitter, Squat, Wappa, Squig Chopper, Big Daka, War Boss, Gold Tooth, Iron Gut, the Shockingly Brutal Destroyer of Galaxies, Herald of Ragnarok, Fist of Gork, and Chosen of Mork.
I love it. Whoa. Is he a cousin of Captain Slaughter? Whoa, that was awesome. What an introduction. Like a wrestling match. That was pretty cool.
So yeah, on the channel we all have little avatars, chibis, and caricatures of ourselves. Mostly, I go by an Inquisitor. Captain Jono is the orc rival to Inquisitor Rosalina Lockwood.
Mm.
So there's always this rivalry between us. And it started out with a joke when we played Battlefleet Gothic 1, where I discovered the most broken strategy, which was ramming. And I would ram orc ships to death. So we had this we always got into character, we always did this kind of thing, and we always just like smashed into each other. It was a lot of fun. I absolutely loved it. Oh, and for the chat, I just want to say if you would like to ask questions to us, because we do intend to do a Q&A towards the end of this, all you have to do is say at mod or at Alexis or at NornQueenAlexis, and we'll be sure to grab your questions right away and answer them towards the end. So, yeah. So, Dave, I see that you've been working out quite a bit on your Instagram.
I am in the midst of an 8-week corn challenge where there are 88 goals to be met.
Ooh.
And some of those goals include drink 8 glasses of water, drink 88 glasses of water. Now, that's not all in one
Okay, I
day.
was about to say that might kill you.
That's within the 8 weeks. And so, I mean, if you have 8 glasses of water a day, like a glass is like a cup of water, then, it's doable. It's kind of what you should be doing anyway. So that's the idea, right? Or you do 8 push-ups or 88 push-ups or 888 push-ups or 8,888 push-ups, which is
Okay, look,
doable in 8 weeks.
you're
It's
going a
only
little bit too far with that 8,000 push ups.
It sounds like a lot all at once, but if you do it every day, it's like 180 push-ups. I mean, that's also a lot, but it's not unreasonably a lot.
I mean, you might
So
turn into Saitama at that point. Anime
that
reference.
might just happen. So yeah, it's good. There's been good support for it, and ultimately, I do these challenges because it's twofold reason. One is to motivate myself. There's public accountability, and two, it's to hopefully help motivate and inspire others to do it as well, and for them to post their gym selfies and for their exercise photos. Because I think that the wargaming community can certainly use more of this type of influence
Oh,
and
without a doubt.
positivity and motivation. I think so.
Yeah, that's actually really awesome. Like, that's actually, you know what? I need to hit the gym more. Like, I jog and everything. That's one of my personal, like, things I do. I just enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, jogging, biking, hiking, always fun. Except when it's 1,000 degrees and then you die. But aside from
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. I mean, if you're a bloodletter, you might survive that, but
oh yeah.
yeah, no, that's good. That's good for your heart. That's
Hmm.
good. And here's the thing, right? I'm just a dude working out. Like I'm not an expert in fitness or anything like that. I am just a regular dude working out, and I just post my pics, and I just give I just show off what I do. Right? It's
Yeah.
not necessarily the best or whatever. It's just is what it is.
Yeah, profit it helps out quite a bit. It builds up your self-esteem because working out always builds up your self-esteem. Back when I ran track in high school and college,
Mhm.
it felt so good to actually, run a mile as a warm-up, which a lot of people they when they run a mile, they're like, "Duh." They're like, out of breath and
Yep.
everything. Me, I would run it as a warm-up, then do a um probably like another 2 miles and then actually start sprinting because that's what I did.
Yep.
Um, so my mile time is it's rough. It's like average, but my 100-meter dash is setting state records. I love
Really?
it. Yeah, I have
That's
gold
awesome.
medals and everything.
Cool. I had no idea. I didn't know that. You know what? See, that's perfect because you have like the speed that a Slanesh warrior would have,
Well, yeah,
right?
I got to be faster than them if I'm going to cut them down.
That's right. Yeah, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have fleet of foot.
Hmm. How do you have fleet of foot and high heels?
It's more impressive when that happens.
There you go. Outrun T
Yeah.
Rexes. No, but I do like outside of the hobby, aside from working out, what do you do for like fun and everything?
For fun. So outside of work, what do I do
Yeah.
for fun? I like to build stuff out of wood. That's it's oh, okay. All right, Dave. So like you're a hobby carpenter. No, I'm not. I just like to. I relax. That's kind of my hobby outside of my hobby. And so I built a treehouse in my backyard and in the doghouse and
Oh,
my
nice.
dining room table I built and there's a bunch of cubbies in the front foyer when you walk into my house that I built and the coffee table and end tables I built for
Yo.
my wife who's the goddess of Slanesh and she's happy when I do these things and yeah that's what I like to do when I relax. I kind of go to my creative place and I just go to um, my humble garage and I don't use it to park my car. I use it to store my tools and
Does
work on.
anybody really park a car in a garage?
They shouldn't. It's really it's useless. To
Yeah,
have no, you just don't use it for that. Come on, it's
especially
really
in the north where we're both from, because I'm from New York, you're from Canada.
hmm,
Like, I don't know exactly what part of Canada, because I'm a dumb American. Um,
pretty close to the border of Buffalo. So I think you're
yeah,
about 4.5 hours away from me.
yeah. But your cars rot on the road regardless, especially with
Yeah,
all the salt. So there's no point to
salt,
use the
yeah,
garage.
moisture, yeah. It's yeah, cars are uh, yeah, garages. They're definitely workshops.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I like to do, and there's a pool. I have a above ground pool, and so I built this cover for it on hinges to protect it from the sun and the elements. So protect the pool heater and the pump and the filter, not the pool itself, because that'd be a massive structure. But yeah, so I just recently finished that. So
I'm
and then I built
actually.
a garden table because I grow my own tomatoes, and
Ooh,
I built a table for it instead of it being in the ground so that the rabbits can't get at it or squirrels or my dog, my flesh hound Ruby. She's a golden doodle, so she can't get at it.
a
Uh,
golden doodle. I'm sorry, that got me.
yeah, and so that's what I do. I like to kind of build that type of stuff. I get a
So
lot of enjoyment.
you're very hands-on with things that you do. It's either you're
Yeah,
building or you're destroying. I mean, it's fitting for a
absolutely.
corn warrior.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was very accurate.
Yeah.
It's in fact both equal amounts of joy doing both.
For like what I like to do outside of the hobby, I write poetry, I do writing, I jog, I tend to hang out with a lot of different people. I go to the mall and spend too much money. I think that counts as a hobby. And, I just like enjoying life. I do cosplaying. That's actually one of my
Mhm.
bigger passions
Yep.
is I love getting into cosplays and everything, building them. Like I have a giant suit of armor. I have several suits of armor in my house.
I've seen
Um,
one of your suits of armor. I may have even tried on one of your suits of armor one time.
yes, you did. You know what actually sucks about that one?
What's that?
It broke at an event. The entire leg of it, the stilt shattered. And like, here's a funny story for it. So imagine, do you know about the rivalry between Star Wars and 40K?
Oh, who doesn't know about the rivalry between Star
Exactly.
Wars?
So imagine an 8 foot tall demon princess of Corn walking around. I mean, you've seen it before.
Mhm.
Then all of a sudden the leg gives out and a bunch of Star Wars people come to the rescue. Like I'm talking a Wookiee actually holding me up, clone troopers like trying to get in. And the funnier thing is them trying to figure out how the harness system to everything works while
Hmm.
trying to hold me up, and I'm just like, but that giant sword, I use it as mostly a cane for the suit in case, that exact circumstance happens. And
Multifunction.
so the sword broke because I had
Ooh,
to slam it into the ground. But
okay.
its sacrifice saved me. So
Nice.
I had to offer up my demon weapon as a tribute.
Now, so could you say that you rolled a 1 on it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
we assumed that dangerous terrain wasn't actually a thing anymore, and that was a mistake.
Yeah, mistake. But did it shatter some souls as it was
Oh God,
destroyed
yeah.
at least? Yeah.
And
Okay.
it
Cool.
corrupted the entirety of Star Wars all at once.
Nice.
I mean, now we got Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. Now there's that. There's definitely
But aside from that, I just built an Ash cosplay from Overwatch. If you ever played,
that. Okay. Yeah. I've
um,
seen it. I've never played. I've seen it though.
yeah, it's a really fun game. I play it very actively on my channel. It's one of the few games I'm good at. But like, enjoying life is what really like we got to bring to this hobby. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. We gotta bring our joy from our life into the hobby and aspects of our life into that. It happens all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's the best way of doing it.
Like definitely inspiring people to come out, show themselves, and be part of this community because this Warhammer community is amazing. Like I love it. I absolutely love the Warhammer community. Online community is but the online community with everything is
Hmm.
Um, but the actual people that go to events like Nova, LVO, and Adepticon, those people, awesome. You guys, awesome. Me, awesome. Of course, I had to pat myself on the back. No, but I really do love showing like my passion for the hobby, because this entire channel is based around my passion for the hobby. I don't
That's
do a
important.
I don't do a video unless I feel like I need to. Like it is my calling to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So it's the integrity. There's journalistic integrity whenever
Hmm.
you do something, and you know it's because you want to, and there's passion behind it. That makes sense.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like if you are just doing this hobby to do it, you miss out on so much, and you really miss out on what the community actually is. Because the
That does,
community, wait, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say that it doesn't make sense to me when that happens. Like, oh, I got these 40 guys to paint. Oh, this sucks. That doesn't make sense to me,
Yeah,
right?
like I keep characters on my desk in front of me at all times to paint up. Like I'm personally in love with Blackstone Fortress. It is like amazing to me because of all the different and unique characters, the verb traders and everything. And I love sitting there and just painting up all of these unique humans.
Hmm.
And like I have a few of them in front of me. I have the Beastmen in front of me, and like I paint them when I feel that I need to. Like
Hmm.
when they finally call to me, when they're like, "All right, Alexis, I'm tired of being naked. Paint me." And I'm like, "Okay."
Ah, yes, if we must. Yep.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where again it boils back down to the passion of the hobby.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. I believe that this is my personal belief. I think that no matter what you are doing, you should do it with passion. Otherwise, why do it? And
Exactly.
there's always a choice. There, unless someone has a gun to your head, and even still, you still have a choice. You just might make an unfortunate choice, but you always have a choice.
Mhm.
You always, no matter what you do, and absolutely do everything with passion
Yeah.
because you just never know when the moment will be when it's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fully agree with that. That's it's the one thing that I watch a few Warhammer 40K channels, you guys being one of them, and Winters and Glacial Geek. I love him. Like
Yeah.
his
That was my cousin. He's a good guy. Yeah, he's
yeah.
a good person.
His passion, again, is what drew me to him. But then there's... I know, I love it. And then there's some channels where they're like, this is a competitive match, there's no talking, we're just rolling dice to win. I'm sitting there, I'm like... Huh?
It's
You know?
interesting. I mean, to each their own, right? Like people have their own types of channels and stuff.
Yeah.
And I personally I don't competitive game, right? Like I know that there is a crowd for it, and that's totally cool. That's another aspect of the hobby. I'm definitely more of a casual narrative gamer, and
I love narrative games. But there is a thrill to playing competitive games that I really enjoy. Because I love the tension and everything. And, the just sheer skill that some of these players have. And some of the things that take you by surprise that you don't know of yet.
mhm.
Back in 7th edition, I was a huge tournament player. 8th edition, I occasionally hit tournaments. I hit them when they're close by or when they're not $50 entry fees.
Mm.
That's what the big negative is for me. I'm just like, I don't want to pay that much. I'm gonna go buy a set instead. But I have been switching to more narrative focused games. We actually had one of our first narrative campaigns on the channel with the Fall of Draxon 5,
Awesome.
which the story to that, if you want to hear it,
Yes, please do. Yeah.
the story to that is it takes place after our role playing game. So we actually have established characters and everything. Boltavarius Tarvok, who's John's character,
Oh, cool name.
he is on a destroyed world that got hit with an exterminatus a few millennia ago by a radical inquisitor.
But
So,
they tend to be that way sometimes. Yes.
well, my type of radical is a little bit different. Mine's the cool shades and skateboard type radical, not the I'm gonna blow up everything that I see radical. But on this research station, because if you actually destroy a planet, its gravitational field still sort of remains, so they still stay together. It's just more of an asteroid field, and that's what this was. It was asteroid fields with bubble domes around them. So he was discovering STCs on the planet. And this is exactly what that Inquisitor destroyed the planet because of. It
Okay.
was, god machines of unknown origin.
Yeah.
So,
So rare to find. Understandable. They'd be looking for him. Okay.
but what wound up happening is the Provoskin sector, where this takes place, where all of my battle reports take place now,
Mhm.
has a Genestealer cult problem.
Oh.
Like a really bad Genestealer cult problem because it originated on one planet. Then the Genestealers got smart and they started taking an actual Genestealer and a bunch of bodyguards,
Mhm.
disguising the Genestealer as, just shipping crates and everything and sending them to all the different planets. So
Cool.
Genestealers spread everywhere.
Yep.
And on Draxon 5, the Genestealers discovered the plan that Tarvok was doing by capturing a few of his servitors and everything, eating their brains and gaining their knowledge because, interrogating people is overrated. Just eat their brains. And because
Right.
of that, they found out where he was, they found out what he was doing, and they started going after him. So, Boltafarius Tarvok, knowing that there's an Inquisitor in the sector, sends out a distress call. Come save me. I need help. And there's a tight relationship between Tarvok and Rosalina.
Mhm.
Rosalina flies around with his fleet as part of a disguise. We're just a Mechanicum exploratory fleet.
Mhm.
Pay no mind to the giant eye on our ship. But before Rosalina got there, before the Inquisitor got there with a bunch of reinforcements,
Mhm.
the tech priest, the archfabricator, Boltavarius Tarvok, was struck down by a patriarch.
Okay.
And he managed to escape, escape. He didn't die, he got away, by sacrificing dozens of his men to just attack this thing. Like, he overrode their protocols and was just like, suicidal actions, go after it.
Mhm.
And eventually they did take it down, but he was heavily wounded. So Rosalina makes planetfall. Unfortunately, the beacons were in place, and the Tyranid Hive fleet, a splinter fleet, came in. A dormant fleet came in, and this caused the tyrannic uprising on the planet. So Rosalina, with her Sisters of Battle, had to fight up against this threat, but the Tyranids proved to be too much. She didn't bring a full military fleet. She brought an evac force. So I actually did bring an Inquisitor. I paid 2 command points to a Vindicari Assassin, because Rosalina always travels around with, and this is why she's radical, she travels around with an Eldari Ranger, who is her her interest, let's just say.
Okay.
Bodyguard. Strictly professional.
Yes.
But those 2 came down, and I use all the rules because we still try to use match play rules in our events, just for balance purposes, because then demons get a little bit too crazy, Tyranids get too crazy, Genestealer cults get too crazy because of free unit spam. So Rosalina, down on the planet, started trying to push back the Tyranids and everything. And the most narrative moment ever happened. And this is what made this entire campaign, and I highly suggest that everybody take a watch of this, because Rosalina went toe-to-toe with a Swarmlord. The Swarmlord had 1 wound left. Rosalina charged in with her acolytes next to her, struck down the Swarmlord, who then exploded and killed her.
Nice! Oh!
And so we had this whole narrative finish to it, where Rosalina, using her force powers, her psychic abilities, managed to strike down the Tyranid, but at the last second, the Tyranid's blade came down to Rosalina, but her acolyte pushed her out of the way, chopping off her arm and leg in the process. And it was a Repentia as one of her acolytes.
Oh, wow.
And because of that, the blade only hit the very edge of Rosalina, slicing her from here down.
Ooh!
And she used her psychic abilities to actually hold the wound shut.
Oh.
So she's in stasis and everything, trying desperately to control her blood loss. And at the end, I have another tech priest, a Magus Biologus, actually giving a description of what happened. And he's like, Rosalina did a suicidal action to save this man. Why? And from then, we're actually going to expand the campaign where she does live, but she lives because the medical facilities in 40k are absolutely busted, by the way. You can survive pretty much getting your head chopped off in 40k if you get a tech priest fast enough to you, or a hospitaler. So we have this whole narrative going on that Rosalina is now heavily injured, Tarvok is heavily injured, and now they have a vendetta against the Genestealer cult and the Tyranids. The Imperial Navy did come in and finish off the Tyranids, but at the same time, Rosalina will never forget what happens. And it's narrative games like that. And this actually came as an inspiration from MiniWarGaming, because when I was there last time, you guys were like, do narrative games. You'll enjoy them. You'll love them. And I was like, yes, it's what I want in my 40k. I want story. So I try to put a story to all of my games and why they're happening.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, that was fantastic, by the way. That was cool. I could totally see everything you were describing. And it was in all of its visceral glory. It was wonderful. And it was so cool. It was really, really neat that actually happened on the battlefield. It's better. It's better when it happens, because you can push things narratively and kind of write it that way. But when it actually happens on the battlefield, it's just sweeter, right? It's like that right there forged the narrative, and we are now flying with it because that's what happened. That's what the dice gods wanted.
Yep.
And that's what they're telling us. So it's cool. It's really, it's almost a transcendent type of experience, because for myself personally, I get so into the mind of what's happening of the key models, the key characters, right? It's like, okay, what do they think in this situation? What would they do? What are they feeling here right now as they're being swarmed by this Genestealer cult, and the Swarm Lord is about to attack them? And what's going through her mind, right? What's she doing? Is she terrified, but she's got to act brave in front of her sisters? Like, what is she feeling? Is she not? Has she gone through this before? Like, it's just, all these things are really neat. And it's neat that, because it's, at the end of the day, I think that you remember the stories and the feelings from the battles as opposed to actual math and dice rolls, right? Like, you remember, and you don't remember additions, you don't remember rules and stuff. That all this stuff gets melded together, but you remember stories, which is why I believe that narrative games are evergreen, You can watch a second edition Warhammer narrative game right now and still enjoy it because you're not watching rules. You're watching it for the story.
Exactly, and that's the biggest draw to doing narrative events. Granted, I don't have a big pool of people that are willing to do narrative games. You would think, being in New York, I would have millions, but unfortunately, I'm in upstate New York, so yeah.
Well, you're about to be visited by a battle brother of mine, and I'm sure he likes narrative games, Mr. Tom Shuby.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
check it out.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, he told me he's visiting you and he's going to battle some. Yeah.
I think he's coming down this Monday. I'm going to keep my shop open just so we can get like 2 games in one day.
Cool. You film those games?
Oh, God, yes.
Awesome.
I try to film almost all of my games at this point. Like even tournament games, I set up a tripod, I just put it on this field and just record it. And the worst part is because I've gotten worse and worse as a tournament player. And I think you'll actually appreciate this, is because I want the game to be played more thematically. Like
right. Someone wants it. Go in. It's
like,
tactically not sound, but he just wants blood. Yes, I understand.
Logically, sit back in the buildings, hold up defenses, and just blow your opponent away.
Yeah,
Nah, my captain's gonna run up in there and hit them with a hammer.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, you're just how. At the end of the day, and you're just sitting back and you're firing, and there's not a whole lot of fun in that.
Yeah.
That's
Although
okay. I brought better guns. Okay, I win. Okay, good game. All right, let's play a narrative game.
Yeah, like if you want to sit back and shoot each other, it's why I actually lost passion for my Space Marines, is because I played a Devastator company. So Devastators, Predators, and things of that nature, and I sat back and shot. But now with the new codex, aside from a few of the things that we lost, Chaplain on a bike, you will be missed. The Emperor will always protect you. But anyway, I like that we actually have some close combat again in the normal codex, because it used to be with the other codex, it was, are you going close combat, or are you going mid-range, or are you going long range? There was no mixing. It was, these are the 3 strategies this book has. And if you mixed, you lost. But
leaning towards one side.
Yeah, now with the new book, we actually have a good close combat units with the Phobos Marines, as well as Vanguard Veterans, and Black Templar are actually useful. So I feel for those Black Templar players. They've been waiting since 3rd for a useful codex. And they got it.
Yeah, the spotlight's on them now.
And I love it because I can bring 3 Devastator squads and have close combat, and it's this glorious middle ground that I love, where if I can't kill you with las cannons, I'm gonna deck you into schnoz. Tau don't have schnozzes? Well, too bad. I'll use my immense psychic powers to grant you one and then punch you in it.
And that right there is a glorious sight that I would watch and rewatch over and over again.
No, but it's again, it just boils down to the fun of the game. Like, I want to play for fun. I don't want to play for winning. It's just one of those things, like, I love it. I love my one opponent, Adam. If you ever get a chance, if Adam from Masters of the Forge ever comes up to MiniWarGaming, you gotta... Say what?
Is his last name Fasselt?
Yes.
Okay, I've met him before, yeah.
He's an amazing person. He's literally my, favorite opponent ever. And it's because everything he does is super narrative. Uh-oh, we lost you for a sec. Okay, you're back. Sorry about that. But everything he does is super narrative focused. He's got Tuska the Demon Killer, for instance, with his Demonkin army.
Yep.
So his Demon Orks, I love it. His Orks are very colorful. I had a game against his Diganobs.
I think I fought him. I think he visited us, and I fought him. I believe so. I think he did a banter bat rep with me.
Oh my god, I can't wait to see that. That is going to be incredible, and I love it.
Yeah, he was a cool dude. I remember that. There's a lot of games over the years, right? So it's hard for me to remember specific games, but the Demon Killer and the basically Corn Orks, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that stuck out to me because it's Corn Orks, and it's narrative. It's cool.
Yeah. And he's also a solid player. Like, he knows his tactics and everything. So it's really, really, really fun games against him, and I love him as an opponent.
Speaking of narrative, I just finished a mini narrative. So it's a 4-part series with Dr. Duncan. He was a guest of ours. He actually was a guest of ours for 5 weeks here at the MiniWarGaming bunker. He was in a number of different games, different battle reports, and he, at the end, very end of it, we filmed for 3 days together. We did 4 videos. They were narrative games, and he himself completely wrote the narrative for it. He's a big fan, has been since Rogue Trader, loves the narrative, and he actually, in that particular game, I filmed it. It was just he and I playing against each other, but he wrote everything. So he was the games master, and I loved it. It was the story of a wolf lord who, let's see, his name was Fellhammer. Fellhammer was his name. Someone from the community named him because I just put a post on the MiniWarGamer Dave Instagram. I said, okay, this guy needs a name for a campaign. All right, go. And so that was the best name that came up. Tobrin Fellhammer was his name.
Ooh, I like it.
And he secretly wanted to go to the side of chaos, right? But he had to hide this fact from his Primaris brethren and from the Inquisitor that he was reluctantly, inadvertently working alongside, trying to take out some Necrons, looking for this STC. And he was actually looking for a chaos artifact at the same time because this demon, this Khorne demon, had put him through a series of trials. And it was amazing because one of the missions that was the mission. It was 4 of these trials, and it was semi role-playing, semi tabletop, which was awesome. I love it.
Yes.
Those aspects are added. It's like, okay, you go through this gate and you see a librarian with glasses and you see bookcases behind. And the librarian says, you may pick up any book and read, and you have 1 hour. And I'm here as a wolf lord. I'm like, okay, all right. I have no idea what the context of any of this is or how it fits into the game, but I'll bite. I'll play along. I look at all the different shelves. Okay, I see one on psychic powers, one on shooting abilities, close combat, and one on gardening. Like, okay, all right. So, okay, I'll bite here. I'm gonna go for the gardening because that's got to be something really, really, really odd. It's got to be. The other ones seem like they're too obvious. That just seems like the one that's sticking out. And okay, so I pick up a book and he says, all right, so you see the pages, but you don't see any words on the pages. I'm like, okay, so I have an hour. How much time has passed? Literally 10 seconds has passed. Okay, I can't just wait this out. All right, what can I do here? I go back to the library. I can't see any words on the pages. Oh, and the librarian puts down the glasses. You can't see any words on the pages. And then the wolf lord says, okay, so can I borrow your glasses? Yes, you may. I put on the glasses. I go over to the book. Now I see some words on the pages. Okay, I read for an hour. All right, what happens now? Okay, what happens after I read a book on gardening for an hour? And what he said was, all right, so you have managed to pass the test of the intellect of finding out that you needed the glasses to figure out what you were reading. Unfortunately, you chose a stupid topic that taught you nothing. All right, now go through the next door, go through the next trial. So that was one of the 4, right? Which was awesome. I just spoiled that away, but that was one of 4 awesome trials that he created out of his brain and these interactions. And so the last one was a battle interaction, and it was awesome. It was like a game of chess.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it was 8 squads of 8 bloodletters, and I had to tactfully outmaneuver him and defeat him. And I won't say the outcome of that because I won't give that away, but it was awesome because we had the exact same units. And you would think, okay, well, a battle with 4 squads of bloodletters versus 4 squads, in a regular game, that sounds really boring. But in a narrative game where the trial is not of that of blood and carnage where Khorne typically wants it, it's a trial of tactics and strategy. So you pass the trial if you out-tactic your opponent. And there's actually stratagems in the middle. There's objectives in the middle. You have to hold them, and you count at the end of your turn. Here you go. And so it was every single inch mattered for the movement, and every single thinking of in the future, in the moves, and the counter moves, and the possibilities, and the risks of the different dies for the charges, and the counterattacks. It was awesome. It was amazing. I never had some fighting just bloodletters against each other, and that's what a narrative game does. It gives reason to a battle. It gives so much flavor to a battle.
That's, again, it's so much better when you have like something to focus on in the game aside from just rolling the dice. Because it's like why is the Space Marines fighting the Space Marines? Well, this is actually a holographic projection that the two company masters are fighting up against each other. It isn't an actual battle between the two Space Marines. It's one of the company captains going like this, I bet I can out-tactics you, and the other one going, no, you can't. And then thus they play it out on a holographic projection, which is the tabletop game. And that actually comes from the Horus Heresy. That's a thing that happens.
I love it. That there's an excuse for an awesome battle report right there as part of a campaign series. I love it.
And then you can actually have like it boil down to like that's the first game where they do this little petty thing, and then towards the end of the game they have to call each other in as allies. But the one is still like, you can't out tactics me. I know what's going down, and then that starts slippery sloping him down towards the path of the chosen ones. The heretics that I burn at the stake. And because of that, you get like this awesome narrative of these two brothers that just had a civil discussion, which broke out into nah, then broke out into loyalist versus heretic. And then you can even have it so that the sergeants of each squad don't know what they're fighting for, and some of their brethren aren't actually like traitors. They're still loyalists, just following orders. So do you shoot on them? And you can actually have a whole mechanic about that, like added to the game. And it's things like that.
Or no type of thing. It's like, oh, now that we know, do we actually go through with it, being aware of it, or do we make a decision not to?
Yeah, and it's like, well, are they going to still fire on me? Right. And do you die knowing that you chose right, or do you continue to serve after killing them?
Right.
So, like, you can add this whole narrative to pretty much everything that you do, which I love. I love it.
Yeah. I think there's three aspects. Honestly, I think there's three aspects to the hobby. There's the painting, of course, right? The painting and the modeling stuff, right? And then there's the gaming, and then there's the lore. You got those three. You got like the three pillars of the hobby, and a lot of players, they have a degree of each one that they delve into. Some players are just players, and they don't really care about the narrative too much. They just focus on the numbers. They don't paint their models. They would play with plastic sprues. That's what they would do, right? Because that is their hobby. And that, you know what? To each their own, right? Like, I'm not one to judge, right? Some people are just painters. They don't play the game at all. And some people love the lore. They love the lore so much, and they're like, oh, there's a game attached to this? And then other people, they do all three, right?
Yeah, you got people like me who literally roll around in all three.
Yeah, because all three are great. All three are awesome.
Actually, I saw something that you were asking for about Aaron Densky Bowden's best books.
Yes.
Or something similar to that. I would suggest to you to read the Night Lord series.
Okay.
It actually makes the Night Lords out to be like actual awesome characters instead of look at the Chaos Bat people. It makes them out to be a solid, like, you actually feel for their Primarch. And there's the whole trilogy is amazing. I don't want to spoil anything for it, but pretty much everything that Aaron Densky Bowden touches is gold. Like it. That's
good. I started listening to the Black Legion. Just this morning.
God, yes.
There's 3 chapters of it this morning, so it's phenomenal.
Do you like how? Did you get up to the part with Abaddon yet?
Yeah, chapter 2 is Abaddon.
Okay.
It's like conversation between he and the Psyker. Yeah, it's tough.
Kion.
Okay. So Kion.
He is the only Thousand Son I like. Like, just hands down, I love him.
And it's so cool because it's, first off, the way in which it's done, you know, with like the actor who plays his voice, their voice, phenomenal. And you feel like you're in the room with them when they're talking. And it's so neat actually seeing Abaddon in this light, because there's so much emotion and power and restraint and experience, and even just like the little gestures, like he makes a gesture with his Talon of Horus and he flicks it a bit and he makes it so, okay, go on with your talking, and he does it with a sound of his claw, and it's amazing, right? And the other guy is like, okay, to disagree with what Abaddon just said would to insult both of our intelligences. And it's neat just hearing this and this is a whole, like, basically the second half of the chapter is just a conversation between the two of them, but it is so engaging. And I did it while I was at the gym this morning, and the whole time I was, doing my exercise, and then I was listening to it, and then it transitioned to in the truck on the way home, and then having breakfast, and then on the way to work here. And then I found myself still here, sitting here, listening to the last bits of chapter 3 because I wanted to finish it. And I was like, oh yeah, I actually drove in a truck today. And it just kind of melded into itself because I was so immersed in this world.
Now,
And
after that book, finish the Black Legion series.
Mhm.
It's absolutely phenomenal. The engagement between Abaddon and Horus is one of the most iconic scenes in that book. And don't let the fans tell you that that isn't the original Horus. Aaron Dinsky Bowden has stated that that is Horus in his prime that Abaddon has to face. And you get this sense from the two of them that these are two titans of war. Like, you could be shooting these guys all day with bolt guns, las cannons, everything, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the will fighting each other. Whose will is greater? And that's what you see in this one chapter. And I remember I was picking up my friend from an airport, and I was listening to this. I told them to sit down and wait, because I'm not leaving yet. Like, I was like, no, I am finishing this chapter. You sat on the plane for 8.5 hours. You can keep waiting.
Oh man, so you're saying that this is in that book?
Yes.
Okay,
You will love it.
That just gave me chills, man. I can't wait to get to it.
Now, one of the other books by ADB that I highly suggest that you read, I'll give you 3 book recommendations.
Okay.
These are my 3 current favorite books of all of 40K. One is Black Legion.
Yep.
Okay, I just lied to you. There's actually 4.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. It apparently, like, the astronomic signals between us got mixed. My 3 was actually a 4. These things get, confusing.
Zinch changes mine. It's all good.
So 4 favorite books. Black Legion. Because, yes, Abaddon actually being Abaddon and not this... Because I hate the memes of Abaddon. I really do. Where he failed all the times when, in reality, he actually succeeded in all 13 Black Crusades minus 3. He's actually won pretty much his objectives each and every single time. Like, right now, the universe is torn in half by him. Like, literally, the Imperium is going to Eldar to help them. Like, that's how crazy it is. They're like, we can't fight all of this. We need your help. But aside from Black Legion, I would have to say the next one would be Master of Mankind. It's written by Aaron Dinsky Bowden, and it's the War of the Webway, where in it's what happened when Magnus tried to contact his dad and tore open a rip in the labyrinth of the Golden Throne, and because of that, demons start pouring in, and there's this huge battle under the grounds of the Imperial Palace, this huge war in the Webway, the Emperor's Webway project. And the Emperor at the end, like, they literally just go the anathema. Like, they know the Emperor. And it's this insane scene, and you actually get Dracnion as a character. Abaddon's sword as a demon who's nearly unstoppable, who goes toe-to-toe with the Emperor.
That's so cool.
Like,
oh man.
The whole thing is the origin of his sword.
Oh, that's so cool. Like the whole thing, that part of the story, or the whole book?
The whole book is his origin. Like,
Really?
you get the origin of the Emperor, which is, he flat out tells you, he's like, I don't remember my origin. Some say that it was a shamanistic pack, a suicide pack, or I was born to mortal parents. Either way, I know I'm human. It talks about how Dracnion is the instance of the first ever human murder, and that's where Dracnion comes from. Dracnion goes through all of this this crazy long character development for a demon. Like, and then at the end of it, it's Dracnion with his demon horde versus the Imperial Palace, the Custodes, the Sisters of Silence, the Imperial Guardsmen or the Sol Exilia, the Emperor himself.
Come
All of
on.
it. It's
Come on.
this insane book, and you would absolutely love it. Like, I listened to the audiobook for it, by the way. If you need any of the audiobooks, I got you.
Sweet. Thank you.
But the audio book of it, I listened to them at work, in the car, or when I'm just like relaxing.
Yeah.
I was listening to this book. Like, I told my neighbor to shut up because I was listening to this book. I'm like, nope, no time, need to listen. This is amazing. I sat down, had my computer off, my lights off, everything. I was sitting down just listening to this audiobook, and everything of it was chills and like, oh, it was so good. Like, you didn't know the outcome. That was the best part, is you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And read that one. You'll love it. It is definitely one of Aaron Dinsky Bowden's best works. I've listened to it about 5 times. Like,
Oh, wow.
I love the book. It is great. The next book that I would recommend is Fulgrim.
Fulgrim, okay.
The reason for this is I've handed Fulgrim to people who don't know 40K in any way, shape, or form. It is one of the best-selling books outside of people who know 40K. Because it is the story of a imperfect child trying to live up to the expectations of his brothers and father. And all of the trials that he went through to prove himself. And at the end of it, his disgrace. And it's this really, really, really good book that really makes you see things from Fulgrim's perspective, which is one of the, in my hands down opinion, the best Primarch book. Like, hands down, the second best being Malkador the Sigillite. He's in the Primarch series. I don't know why, but he's there. Crazy Uncle Malkador. Heresy train. It has no brakes. Sorry, there are trains next to me. But aside from that book, the last book that I would recommend is actually one that I just finished. I have the special edition of it, and I love the book. It's Celestine.
Okay.
The reason for it is it tells you what Celestine actually is. It shows you the origins of what people believe to be an imperial demon, when she's not. She's anything from a demon. She is literally hope incarnate. And it's one of the most touching stories because you actually see that Celestine is scared. Like, you see things from her perspective. Like, she's a living saint. She's the embodiment of everything that the Imperium strives for. And you see things from her perspective where she's like, I know what I have to do. And I know that the Emperor is guiding me to do this. I can feel his warmth with me at all times. And it's her trial while she's dead to come back to life that she always has to face. And you get these cool demon monologues in it. You get these cool, like, what is Celestine like? Does she doubt her powers? Does she doubt herself? Does she have faith in the Emperor? Like, and it's this really cool story, and you would love it. My book recommendations.
Who's the author on that one?
I want to say it's the same guy that did Shroud of Night. John, do you happen to know this one? I think it's Andy Clark. I could be wrong. I don't know if John is still here or not. I really hope he is.
I am.
Can you do me a favor and check on that really quickly? The author of Celestine?
One moment.
Thank you. That's why it pays to have mods.
So for the first two, is it Bowden for?
Yes,
it is.
It's Aaron Dinsky Bowden for both of them. Fulgrim, I forget who actually wrote it.
Horus Heresy series, right?
Yeah, it's written by Andy Kaufman. Thank you, chat, for helping me out with that one. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome, and I love each and every single one of you. And Andy Clark.
I was gonna say, Andy is there's a movie made about him, Man on the Moon, Jim Carrey.
Andy Clark.
Andy Clark, okay.
You know, sometimes, again, astronomic signals messing up, trying to contact a demon and everything. These things happen.
They happen.
But yeah, those are my book recommendations.
Awesome. Thank you for recommending those books. Yeah, I think that the second one. What was the name of the second one?
Master of Mankind.
Master of Mankind. Your description of that just gave me chills, man. I want to. Could you actually send me? Could you just send me a message after with the book? I don't want to forget them. So, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no problem. I'll probably just send you the audiobooks as well.
I won't go to Gifts of Chaos. So, thank you.
Well, these aren't gifts of chaos; they're gifts of the Emperor. Say,
Oh,
I am one of his who speaks through him. I am an Inquisitor, and I am trying to enlighten you, to bring you back to the fold, to bring you into the Emperor's warmth and love, so that he can protect you.
there was a skip in the warp there, and there was silence for maybe 10 seconds. But
I think that was Korn trying to censor me.
I actually came at a perfect time. I was like, I'm not hearing anything right now, but yeah, definitely the Gift of Chaos. It's all good.
Ah, that's good. That's good. I love it. I love it. So, what other books have you actually listened to or read?
This is honestly, it's the first because I haven't delved like other than codexes, I haven't delved into novels, right? Like and so this is I listened to a podcast and I got inspired because the podcast was focused just on Black Library books that they enjoyed, and so just from listening to their uh, their enjoyment of these books, whether they read them or listened to them, which in my opinion is the same thing. It just kind of sparked this desire within me to kind of delve deeper into the universe.
Yeah.
And
Again, it
because
comes down to passion.
yeah,
The
exactly.
passion is inspiring you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it rightfully so. And again, it's like this whole world that is now opening up to me. It's a less superficial world. Not that the stuff written in the codexes are superficial. It's just more of a synopsis.
It's more explored.
Yeah, it's like it's more of a point form description of what happened. The actual nitty gritty details in depth are in the novels, and so that's something that I want to, and I also want to glean some inspiration for the narrative campaigns that I will be creating in the future as well. Because
One of the quotes from Black Legion that I think you if you haven't gotten to yet, this will stand out to you. When Kion is talking to somebody, I'm not going to reveal who it was. When they are talking to somebody, they say, "You attribute my name to planets that I've never even seen, to wars that I've never waged." And
that's cool how you remember that, because there's a lot of words. So you must have listened to it multiple times, or just like really struck a chord?
no, it did, because it's just like you hear all of these like all the battle reports you watch with Abaddon leading said battle, and it's like, well, was that really Abaddon? Like on the tabletop, yes, obviously it was Abaddon, but lore, like the actual story behind it, was that really Abaddon, or did the Imperial forces lie and say it's Abaddon so that their retreat doesn't seem cowardly? Like, it was the War Master. He was here. That's why we had to retreat. Not it was Joe of Platoon 76 who just so happened to have a sword that was spooky.
It was once a
Sword
being.
of Spook Nasty.
That's cool.
No, so these listening to the stories, you actually get a sense of where the characters are in relation to the universe. Me personally, I try to stay away from named characters, but if you are going to bring in named characters, this can just be one of the events that they just casually dismiss. Like a great war for an Imperial force to fight, but a casual skirmish for them.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's, 10,000 years of a lot of stuff that could have happened.
And is this war actually happening, or is this just a mass hallucination because of warp? No, and it sounds silly until
Could be true.
if you read if you ever read the Imperial Armor books, the Forge World books from like 6th and 7th edition, there's actually a campaign in there where the whole thing is Tzeentch lured in an Imperial force to fight up against things, and seeing how crazed the Imperials would go with their allies. So back in the day, if you remember, you couldn't take allies too often. Like, you couldn't actually take, like, Tyranid allies for your Imperial force, even though by today's rules as written you can. They just don't gain any benefits from each other, and your army's not considered battle-forged. But back in the day, you literally couldn't. So it was Tzeentch tricking an Imperial force to fighting a bunch of demons, where he would see what you would be willing to sacrifice yourself to win. And you would actually be able to ally with demons to fight this force. And it's like, how far are you willing to go? And then at the end of the day, Tzeentch just dismissed them from the warp. Like, that's interesting. Gone.
Oh, Tzeentch.
That tricky person. I mean, him, the Deceiver, and Kigoroth sitting around having a conversation with each other must be the most insane thing to ever listen to.
Yeah, I think it might be confusing.
Yeah. Could you imagine those three driving in a car together trying to pick out a restaurant to eat at?
I was just going to say drive-through, making decisions.
Like, it takes me and Victor forever to figure out a place to eat, because I'm up for anything, but not that place. And then we go through that.
Right.
But this is three crazy individuals that are all doing that.
Yeah. It's a wonder anything against that. Good thing warp works, time works differently in the warp. Maybe that's how they get away with it.
Yeah. That poor drive-through attendant, stuck there for years.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. We have our Q&A section. I don't think there was too many questions going in, mostly because people were too enthralled by our conversation as I tried to convince you to come back to the Emperor's Light, and you tried to convince me to fall to the ruinous path. And I can't do that. I don't think I can.
You have Slaanesh armor. What do you mean you can't do that?
Well, see, that is my disguise as an inquisitor, to lure heretics to me so that I could take them out.
I see. I hear the words you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But I think it means something different. But that
See, that's Tzeentch tricking you.
Okay.
So, John, have you been grabbing the questions as they've come?
There's not many, but I have.
Alrighty, let's hear the first one.
All right. This is a $20 super chat from Sanguinius. He says, "Hey, Dave, tell Hunter I said hi. And, remember that no matter what happens, nothing will change the fact that in 1998, The Undertaker threw mankind off Hell in a Cell into the Spanish announcer table."
Okay. Nothing can change that.
No amount of Tzeentch trickery, time travel, chrono distortment can ever change that fact happened. That is a pinnacle point in history. It had to happen.
Yes.
It really, of course. The next question is, can you ask Dave if MiniWarGaming plan to do any more narrative campaigns in the same spirit as the Augustine Station Deathwatch? Because that was awesome.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you. I'll say this. There's multiple stories coming up. One of which is a Chaos Deathwatch, which is in the same. It's all in the same universe, as part of the MiniWarGaming narrative universe. And there's also there will be more Deathwatch campaigns, because that is our most popular narrative campaign series, and the longest running. Not the longest running, but the longest amount of seasons in it. But what I like, because I participated in the first St. Augustine Station Deathwatch campaign, and I am now preparing a Chaos Deathwatch as a part of that. But it's not Chaos Deathwatch per se. It is war bands, but they have different Legion.
I actually wanted to do something similar to that, and I wanted to call them Abaddon's Black Ops. And it's a member from each of the squads. They each have their shoulder pad, but they're possessed. So it's just a squad of possessed that I'm using the rules for. But they're styled up to be the Deathwatch.
Yep.
So
yeah, and it's fun. It was actually it's the narrative is written by Black Library author Miles Drake.
Ooh.
And we've been working with him for a few of our campaigns, and this is a phenomenal campaign. It is actually about Abaddon collecting different war bands in search of the Gate of Moloch, which is where Horus got his power from and where the Emperor got his power from. And so Abaddon is looking for this, and he's recruiting a whole bunch of war bands to do his bidding for him. And the idea is that once they find it, they tell him. Or on the flip side, they may not tell him and just keep the power for themselves. And so that's what the campaign is about. So it's going to take the form of an event, also a campaign that's filmed. So it'll be like kind of a intimate, smaller amount of player campaign event type of thing. I like to do those as opposed to tournament style, lots of players.
Yeah.
I find that's more, you're more focused on the game. You can still focus on the narrative, but it's just when you have a handful of players, you can really hone in on the narrative, and it's more of a potent experience for each player. And also from a viewer perspective, they get more invested in certain players as they play, as they take their part in the campaign. And so that'll be fun. I'll be playing Abaddon's warband, led by Sarthadon, one of the Bringers of Despair, and there's also a Psyker as a part of it. And it's going to be fun. So basically the winner of it, of all the warbands, will fight against Abaddon's warband and see who the overall winner of the campaign is. In the meantime, all the episodes will be filmed. And so that's actually happening in November.
Oh, you're doing it as a special gift to me for my birthday? So sweet.
It's because Chaos knew that's when it was. Yeah. I have Terraces all, so.
And you know what? It's convenient because it's on the 9th, and 9 is the number of, I forget which one. I think it's Zinch. Or is it Nurgle? God, I hope it's not Nurgle.
No, it's Zinch.
Okay, good. About to say
Nurgle's
that'd be gross.
Yeah, he's 7. Yeah. Corn's 8. That's the best number, though, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, 8 and 6. Like, come on.
See, that's the Slanesh right there again. So you just referenced no. All on your. It did nothing there. That's all you.
No, that is Zinch playing a trick on your brain that makes you think that I'm turning to Slanesh, but I'm really not.
Okay. You're the one that said Slanesh. I didn't say it. I didn't disagree. So yeah.
No, but one of the things that I got to do when I come up next. Speaking of which, I do have to come up at some point.
Absolutely. Invitation right now. Official invitation for you, Alexis, to come up and visit us here at the MiniWarGaming bunker to a narrative campaign. I think that would be a very thing to. I have the campaign narrative carrot dangling right now, and that's what it would be.
I don't think you've had sisters for a narrative campaign.
Not that I can think of.
So there you go. Something unique for you.
That would be something unique, yeah.
One of the things that I got to do, though, since you're speaking of Deathwatch and everything, I got to give you a black shield that comes from my Space Marine chapter, the Sons of Garrow. Because their whole thing is that they don't have a chapter sigil. Mm-hmm. So in order to give to the Deathwatch and still be, still maintain that connection to the Deathwatch that all chapters have to, except for one, and it's not Grey Knights, by the way. You can have a Grey Knight Deathwatch according to the lore. But one of the things that I want to do is I want to give you a tech priest or a tech marine, and his name is Tyrellian Pin. He has this huge story on the channel, and I think he would serve your Deathwatch well as a backstory.
Okay, hold on. What does that mean when you say that you're going to give this tech priest? What does that actually mean?
It means I go like this. Hey, looky here. There's a tech priest, and I go like this. Hey, Dave, here you go.
So what you're saying is you're going to send me a tech priest?
Well, tech marine. I always get those two confused, but yes.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to be painted up in the Deathwatch colors, aside from his shoulder pad, which is going to have my sigil, which is absolutely nothing, except for the green. And he's got a full name already. So if you guys want him, consider this a benevolent gift of the Emperor to convince you to fall to his light.
Thank you so much. I always accept gifts of chaos. And I also, if he is sent, and then if he arrives a warpsmith, because he went through the warp, then I understand as well.
Well, yeah, no, he is perfectly loyal, and nothing could ever corrupt him in any way, shape, or form. But I'm just saying, if he does happen to get corrupted.
Okay. All right.
These things happen.
But I think the sentiment is a very. Thank you. That's very generous.
No problem.
Yeah.
John, what do we have for the next question?
Oh, dadgummit, Sanguinius. Why is John such a butt?
Dang it, Sanguinius. Anyway,
Thank
next
you.
one.
Any good stories about Tzeentch? I've not delved into the novels myself.
All right, so here's a little thing that somebody's gonna get mad at me about. The best book written with Tzeentch in mind is probably Magnus of the Primarch series, but it's really bad. Like,
Oh, why is it bad?
the whole thing is they keep hinting at the fact that he's falling. Well, they're trying to do soft hints at the fact that he's gonna fall to Tzeentch, but it's blatantly obvious. Like, when he astral projects himself, he goes, I wish I can stay in my ethereal form forever. And it's like, really? Really? I can do so much in this form to help. I should seek out this power. It's like, Black Library, seriously, write this a little bit better. But Tzeentch himself, like, from a narrative perspective, Tzeentch is actually a very fun god to work with. Khorne is pretty straightforward, though you can do some interesting things with Khorne that I like to do, like, Demons of Khorne like to barter, which is something that a lot of people don't know.
They barter.
Yeah. And you can take a Demon of Khorne as a slave. One of the things is...
What is?
Say what?
You can take what as a slave?
Bloodletter.
Okay.
And they make excellent, like, attack dogs / they're very smart. There's a book, I cannot remember which one, but there's a scene in it where a bloodletter is standing next to his master. And the master is looking at 3 blood angels that happen to be stuck on this demon world. And the blood angels are covered head to toe in gore because they're blood angels. Their sigil has been pretty much scraped off from all of the battle and everything. Their armor is pretty much silver at this point. And as they're sitting there, the demon speaks in riddles, which I really like because I love the fact that Khorne demons speak in riddles. It's a nod at, like, older mythologies and everything that I really like, and I also like Etrigan of DC, so I love talking, like, the riddles and everything. I love it. But this guy at the front of this Colosseum is like, you cannot enter unless you give us a severed head. And the blood angel looks at the demon, and the demon goes and smiles and just goes, yeah, you know what to do. And the blood angel chops the guy's head off and puts it on the cart and just goes, will that suffice, demon? And the demon's like, the offering is accepted. Please go right in. And it's really, really, really cool to see a different side of Khorne. In fact, I'm actually in a... I am currently doing a Black Crusade game where I play as a Khornate Sister of Battle. Now...
Ooh.
In this campaign, we use all the rules for a Space Marine, but we say that she's an enhanced Sister of Battle. So, just for rules purposes, she has all the Space Marine abilities, but it's because of augmentations, mysterious stuff from the warp, and literally a demon inside her. So, this Khorne demon bonded itself to the sister to take her over because of her innate rage at the sisters abandoning her. And she uses that demon essentially as a battery. And she never learned the demon's name. So she doesn't control the demon, but her will is so powerful that the demon is submissive to her. And she does have inner monologues with the demon, and she acts as though she is the demon. There's, like, literally no difference between the demon and her. Her name is Umbra Nox. So, like, it's an awesome name. My opinion. I love it. But she inherits... she acts on all things Khornate. Like, if you show weakness to her in any shape or form, like you are afraid of her, she'll kill you because you are not strong enough. If she defeats a champion of Khorne, which she adamantly searches out and finds, she will destroy their trophy rack because those skulls are not good enough for offerings to Khorne. Because if that guy gave them, and that guy is weak, he is not worthy. So she carries around a chain scythe, which is a weapon that you don't see on the tabletop. And she carries around two MIU harpoon guns on her arms. MIU means mind impulse units. She can fire them by thought alone. And her whole thing is she looks for the person in charge when she enters a room or enters a battle, fires the harpoon at them, and then to break everybody's morale, she'll start dragging them to her, lift them up, put the chain scythe underneath them, and just drop them. And then just stand there while the guy is being eviscerated, getting covered in gore and blood because, well, demons. And she'll just stand there going like this, "Who's in command here? You now serve me." And if they run, she kills them. If they don't run and submit, they become part of her warband. And her whole thing is that she hunts Sisters of Battle.
Okay.
Also, her armor, her actual armor is white, but it looks black and red and brass because of all of the blood and gore that's on it.
Cool.
So, you know, a lot of nods to the World Eaters, how their armor is actually white, but it's red because of all the gore. She has red skin, the horns, a tail. She essentially is a bloodletter wearing Sister of Battle armor. And it's this really, really cool like mechanic that she has where she's submissive to the War Master, who's in charge of this campaign, but to everybody else, she's a psychopath. But she's not just deranged. She has tactics. She has all of this training behind her. She's this advanced warrior that won't fight. She won't kill things that are deemed like innocent. Yeah. Like if she walks into a hospital, she won't kill a single person. Because it's not that they're weak, it's that they can't fight. Right. Like there's a difference between there's an honor to her.
Yeah, Corrin's honor. That's right. Yep.
So it's one of the things that I love the character because of those things, and it really drives the narrative. Again, like the narrative is so important. And I actually have a model of her that I use as a Khornate champion on a Juggernaut. Because she has a Juggernaut. Because all Khorne champions should have a Juggernaut, just saying.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that statement.
It's either that or at least one Puppers, which is a blood what are they called? Fleshhound.
So hold on 1 second. Okay, let's just so it's straight in my mind. Earlier on in the conversation, you were telling me about the Emperor's Light and all of that.
What?
All that. then now you're talking to me about this model that you possess, which is a sister that possessed by a demon who's actually the same person, and you run this model. So
don't you put these two things together. These are two separate instances, clearly not connected to me in any way.
I'm hearing Tzeentch change his mind. That's just what I'm hearing. But you know, it's up to the interpretation of the Vox, right? Whatever language we speak, it kind of comes out how we want to hear it, right? So.
Yeah, and of course, you know, there's the auto-redactus actually censoring things that we're saying and changing things that we're saying to each other, as well as Tzeentch, you know, messing with the things that we're saying. It's not that I have 2 demon armies in my collection.
No,
definitely not. Nor Tyranids or pretty much every army in existence in my collection. Just I am fully loyal to the Emperor in all things.
Okay.
No, but jokes aside, I do have characters for each one of the factions.
Yeah.
The Norn Queen being the one for the channel. The Sister Battle being Canoness Kane. The Inquisition being Rosalina Lockwood. For all the Space Marines, I use my fiance Victor. So it's just one of those things we always forge this narrative with everything.
Cool.
And if you ever join my Discord, you get to hear some crazy stories where I describe 40k history, do full voice acting and everything. And everybody says that I should record it, but it's one of those things I can't record because it's spontaneous.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like to hear it.
All right, but we are answering questions, right? That was the entire thing. See, Tzeentch tricked us into going on a giant rant there, and that distracted us from what our actual goal was. Just answering questions.
Yes.
Alrighty, John, what do we got for another question?
Really, this is the last one. What's wrong with Nurgle? He rocks.
Nurgle is cool. I love Nurgle. I love the whole enslaved relationship with Isha thing going on. I love that for every disease Nurgle brings to the galaxy, Isha whispers the cure to it to everybody. I love the dynamics between Nurgle, and I love what Nurgle stands for, which is eventuality, stagnation, and rot, and decay, but also life and renewal. I
Mhm.
love that about Nurgle. I don't like his models. I'm sorry, it's gross and it's like ill.
Too ugly?
Well, it's rather amusing, and I think the reason that I don't like Nurgle so much is actually because I play Loyalist Death Guards, being the Sons of Garrow. Um,
Oh.
so they have to hunt down their fallen brothers.
Hmm.
So that's where my utter hatred of Nurgle steps in.
Oh, yeah. So the other side of Nurgle you don't like.
Yeah, see? Wait,
Okay.
hang on. I think you tricked me.
Oh, oh, that's cool. I like Nurgle for the sheer fact that Nurgle is very forgiving. Because I mean, you can be a brand new player to the game, and you can field a Nurgle army and not get decimated because you're
Yeah.
resilient. Yeah, so that's pretty cool too. It's like, and if you like zombies, it's also a nice
I
attraction.
mean, who doesn't like zombies?
Who doesn't, right? Uh,
There's a quote from a book that I think you would like. It comes from Scabatrax, the greater demon, talking to Mortarion about um, Gilliman.
mhm.
And Scabatrax actually admits to Mortarion that he's scared of Gilliman. And it's because Gilliman's sword can actually destroy demons. Gilliman, the Emperor's sword,
Yep.
can actually destroy demons. That means no resurrection, no nothing. And Mortarion simply replies with, "Why would you be scared of that? Death is inevitable."
Mhm.
And it's this really cool scene because Mortarion isn't scared of his brother. He's not scared of the universe at large. He understands the eventuality of all things. He operates differently than any mortal because he's already seen beyond the veils. He
Mm.
knows what the actual fate of the universe is. It's death, it's renewal, it's a never ending cycle. That's why he is necessary. It's why all of the Chaos Gods are really necessary. They have to exist. Just like the Emperor has to exist because the Emperor represents law and order,
Mm.
where Slanesh represents decadence and debauchery, but also
Mhm.
represents pride and passion. Khorne represents blood, gore, and slaughter, but at the same time, honor.
Mhm.
Zinch is a nerd.
Oh man. Yes, the weaver of fates and the changer of ways.
All I can
But
say is when Gilliman punched out Fate Weaver, I'm just imagining he probably said you didn't see that one coming, did you? And the thing's just like, well, actually, and then he just gets punched again.
Oh,
All right, what do we got for the next question?
Let's see. Opinion time. Are mutations? I'm guessing that meant that's supposed to be inherently chaos based, or are they a type of non-chaos? Or are there types of non-chaos mutations?
Non-chaos mutations. Well, depending on how you look at it, the Psyker curse could be a gift from the Emperor. Being a perpetual is a mutation. Being a blank is a mutation. Those are all working for the Imperium. But at the same time, falling to chaos is very common with psychers because their undisciplined minds are open to the veil. And Zinch likes to mess with them, Khorne likes to kill them, Nurgle's there to just give them a high five, which eventually corrupts them.
oh, that's awesome. That's a very good way of looking at it. Pretty accurate too.
But if they do get trained and disciplined in the ways of the Imperium, they could be used for good, though
Mhm.
they're still seen as witches. Yeah. But if you start growing like tentacle arms, you should probably, either
Get a
or
haircut.
or go and find your local inquisitor and report it. Just be like,
Oh,
hey.
but the one you would be executed though, wouldn't you?
Yes, but that is your duty as an imperial citizen. See?
I see.
There is a reward in that. That you have removed your disgusting visage from the domain of the Emperor, which he will shine his light on you after your death, because that was your task. That is what you were meant for, to prove that you were loyal. By getting purged. The problem is that's actually true. That's canon. All right, what do we got for the next question?
If Fate Weaver has 2 heads, doesn't that make him the Supreme Four Eyes?
All right, I like it. I like it. I like it. Yes, yes, it does.
You should model him with glasses. I think that'd be the best way of going about that one.
Oh my god, this
Mustache.
And a mustache. In fact, I think we have a character that fits this exact thing that John actually uses, and it's a Kairos Newsweaver. So he reports for WARP News, which is a segment that we intend to do in the future.
You should absolutely send me a link to that.
Okay, I will. We haven't done a skit for it yet, but we will send you the picture for it. All right, what do we got for the next question? Let's try to get through these really quickly, though.
Yeah, this is the last one. Would Black Templars work with Sisters of Silence?
Yes. Yes, they would. Actually, they probably would willingly, too. They'd be disgusted by them because blanks have that narratability about them that everybody doesn't like them because of their absence of soul, which is why GW made a joke about them and made them all redheads, which I thought was hilarious as a redhead. But aside from that, yeah, I could see them working together really, really well. Yep.
Redheads have the most fun. I mean, this is true, right?
Yeah, it's totally true. So with that, we are going to wrap this off. Dave, would you like to say anything going out?
Thank you for having me on the show. In the same vein as listening to podcasts and live shows, if you want to check out the Shrine of Chaos podcast, I do it every Wednesday live at 1 p.m. Eastern time, or you can check out the podcast afterwards, which is on iTunes or Podbean.
All right. I'll be sure to leave a link to the Twitch, the YouTube, and all of that stuff down below. I didn't get a chance to do it just yet, but I will make sure, and I'll have one of my mods or multiple mods remind me to be sure to add all of that stuff to the description down below. Dave, it's been awesome having you. You're just as chaotic as I expected, and I love that our personalities mesh like this because it is just a lot of fun.
Yes, and you just agreed to having fun with chaos, and I heard it.
Ah, damn it. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. But again, thank you so much for being here. I want to thank everybody for watching, everybody for donating, and everybody for following and subscribing to the channel. As always, you can always follow me on social media at NornQueenAlexis. And with that, love you guys. Bye.